Welcome back as we continue with a view from the House. At the beginning of each sitting, members of the National Assembly are granted an opportunity to propose subjects for debate in the House. It's been done by way of a notice of motion, but those motions are more like a statement, and those who put forward the motions realize that it is unlikely that those topics will ever appear on the order paper for discussion. Let's take a look at a few of the motions moved yesterday afternoon.
Speaker, I hereby propose on behalf of COPE that I shall propose at the next sitting of the House that this House discusses the high salaries and bonuses paid in the private sector and its effect on the salaries of SOE CEOs and the public sector.
Speaker, I hereby give notice that I will at the next sitting of the House, on behalf of COPE, move that the House debates the tough war between two labor unions competing for union members which led to the killing of at least 9 people at Lonmin Platinum in Northwest Province.
On behalf of the ANC, that in the next sitting of the House debates, the deepening of our contribution to the renewal of the African continent and the progressive forces in the world. Thank you.
Honourable Speaker, on behalf of Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that this House debates the cases of vigilantism in KwaZulu-Natal involving stock theft that have so far left 14 people dead. I thank you.
I move on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting of the House debate ensuring the contribution of the arts and culture, sports, heritage and language towards the social cohesion and nation building. I thank you.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House debates the lack of coordination and communication between Home Affairs and other government departments and the implications this has for economic growth and job creation, and to find solutions in this regard.
I hereby give notice that I will at the next sitting of the House on behalf of COPE move that the House debates the destructive role of SATO leadership in Limpopo in implementing a catch-up plan to support learners in public schools.
I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting the House debates the role of consulting engineers, contractors and emerging contractors, the transfer of skills and the creation of jobs in the construction of quality RDP houses.
It was up to the Freedom Front Plus Connie Mulder to ask the question that was on the minds of all who observed the parliamentary processes of proceedings from the public gallery, the media gallery included.
Honourable Speaker, I hereby give notice on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus that I'm going to propose that at the next sitting of the House we debate the fact and the reasons why none of these motions are ever debated that we give. Thank you.
Noted.
We're moving on to a motion on protests, and let's roll that tape.
The Youth League threatens ungovernability in the morning and denies its involvement in violent protests in the evening. It has been reported in city press that residents in Philippi, Nyanga and Khayelitsha have testified to ANC members and their allies that they are behind the violent protests. Residents are called to protest by SMS, pamphlets and loud hailers at midnight. We know these protests are politically motivated, just as we also know that the DA delivers more to its poor communities than the ANC. Is this really what the ANC stands for? If they cannot win power at the ballot box as a result of good service delivery, render the province ungovernable by inciting violent protests. As a result of this action, 4 people died in yesterday's protest, for which the ANC must take full responsibility. Worst of all, there has been no condemnation from the mother party of the Youth League's statements. We need a clear answer from the ANC here today. Do you support the statements and actions of the Youth League in this regard? If not, what are you going to do about it?
It is very, very wrong. It's problematic. The reality is that the Western Cape government, led by the DA, for many times are accusing
on a point of order, House Chairperson. House Chairperson, on a point of order.
No, just be quiet. Just wait here. Just please sit down. I think if you want to shout and scream, I'll give you 5 minutes to shout and scream, and then be quiet. Mr. Fransman, please carry on.
Honourable Chairperson, the reality is that if there's protest action in any other province, it's because then they say it's service delivery problems. In the Western Cape, there's serious service delivery problems. The reality is, if the Premier of the province speak about refugees, about black people, it shows what they are doing in this particular province. That's the key problem. When the former President de Klerk go on record and say, and then he says, the homelands was not as bad an issue, and black people in the Western Cape feel the brunt of that, that becomes a real problem for the people here. So look at the way you implement your policy in a skewed development pattern. That's the big problem.
Your time has expired, Minister. Thank you.
The leader of the Congress of the People, Mr. Mosiuoa Lekota, caused a stir in the National Assembly when he linked the killing of a COPE official to statements by the MK Veterans Organization in KwaZulu-Natal. His remarks drew sharp response from the former Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Lindiwe Sisulu. We pick up on Mr. Lekota's statement.
COPE is deeply shocked and concerned at the reported allegation that the KZN MKMVA provincial leadership resolved in its recent meeting to assassinate by shooting COPE KZN Provincial Secretary Mr. Bheki Coosie of Margate. Information is that Mr. Coosie is targeted for assassination because he criticized on Radio Igagazi MKMVA members who attacked members of the public at the Thohoyandou Church during the Nelson Mandela Memorial Lecture by President Zuma. This happened in the presence of members of the South African police who did not intervene. On learning of the threat to Mr. Bheki Ntofontofo Coosie, COPE immediately advised the minister of this, both telephonically and in writing, and demanded appropriate security arrangements for him. What makes this ominous is that Mr. Coosie is the brother-in-law of the late Wandile Mkhize, who was shot and killed in Margate on his return from the recent ANC policy conference. And in terms of Section 198, subsection 1 of our Constitution, only the Defense Force, the police service, and law enforcement units founded under law passed by this Parliament may wear military fatigues. MKMVA should be allowed to don ceremonial-style military uniforms, not those used in war. And therefore, COPE appeals for public assistance in unraveling the truth of the threat to Mr. Coosie's life.
Chairperson, the issue of political killings has been a scourge that this country has fought during the time of 1994 to 1996, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. It's a matter that we take very seriously. Therefore, when honorable member from COPE stands here to say that there are death threats against certain members of his party or of citizens of the country who reside in KwaZulu-Natal, I'd like to think that member statements are required to be based on fact and truth. I hope that there is fact and truth in what he is saying, because if there is, I would have wanted the member to have indicated that this information has been made available to the police. I hope he's not using the space that is provided here for political purposes. This is a very serious matter on which we all need to be very concerned. I wanted to say also that I find it sheer opportunism.
Of order, Madam Chair, on a point of...
Thank you.
Madam Chair, my statement specifically said we reported this to the Minister of Police. I said that in my statement. She was not listening.
The police has the executive responsibility of dealing with cases. I hope that the matter has been reported to the police. Secondly,
will you please be quiet? Yes, continue, Minister.
My point is, I would like to ensure that this matter has been reported to the police, that there is a file that has been opened
Honorable
up.
Speaker. On a point of order.
Honorable Speaker.
There is an investigating officer to the case.
Honorable Speaker, will Honorable Lekota respect the rules of Parliament and not be rowdy?
May I?
Members,
may I state?
Honourable members, will you please be quiet on both sides so the minister can finish what she has to say?
Thank you. I was asserting that I hope that the matter has been reported to the police because political killings are a very serious problem that we would like to put behind us. Secondly, I wanted to say that I find it sheer political opportunism that the member stands here and says that in terms of the Constitution, only the Defence Force and the police are allowed to wear uniform and whatever it is. When in fact, as the minister, he had the responsibility for 10 years to have ensured that the enabling legislation that he's talking about is put in place. What is he standing up to say here when he had the responsibility to deal with the matter? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Is that the point of order? If it's not, please sit
on a
down.
point of order, Madam Chair. On a point of order. The minister, the honourable minister must withdraw that I'm opportunistic.
That is not a point
There's
of order.
nothing I've said here. Madam
That's
Chair.
not a point of order.
It's a point of order. She
It's
must
not
withdraw.
a point of order.
I'm asking her to withdraw.
It's not a point of order.
Madam Chair, please hear my point of order.
It's not a point of order.
It's a point of order when she makes an allegation that is not
Honourable
founded
House Chairperson.
on the facts.
Who has the right to make rulings in this House? Honourable Lekota has no right under the rules of this Parliament. He has to sit down and keep quiet now.
Let's go for a commercial break. A View from the House will continue just after that with an interview with Ms. Mazibuko, parliamentary leader of the DA.